And a little housekeeping on this. We had a couple of characters level up last time. And if we look at the character sheets, you have additional moves added. So Jessica and I already spoke about Sam very briefly, but then I wanted to hold off and wait until we were doing it together. Sam, you have got, what is your new move?
Oh, was I supposed to get another move?
No, the library, the one that you got.
Oh yeah. I just decided that we needed a library in the Winnebago.
It's a spacious Winnebago.
So I think it'd be interesting if we kind of visualize what it looks like, and it can be a mixture of media types. It can be a couple of like old ancient tomes and some digital stuff. You know, you have satellite uplink, so it might not be that the library is entirely physically here, but you can access information here, and it's stuff that I wouldn't cut you off from. Like, even if you get somewhere where you can't use a satellite, like you have a lot of stuff downloaded, you have access to your library since you took it as a move. But so what does Samantha's library look like when she goes to consult the library? What do we see her doing?
Oh, so she has a grimoire, like from her family heritage, and maybe like 2 or 3 of them from like her grandmother and her great grandmother and her mom. And then she has another little bit of like random weird books that have to do with different monsters, but they tend to be very superficial information on them, not anything too specific, just like a brief introduction of different monsters.
And maybe some of it's either wrong or like romanticized, or like if you consult it and roll badly, maybe like you just get misinformation, but it's believable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what your library does functionally, is it gives you a bonus when you try and do research, but you can still get a bonus and roll badly. So maybe that's like you completely believe the chupacabra drinks milk, and that's
it's the little chupa leche.
Chupa leche.
Let me ask something that I just thought of. Since you said the books were like your mother's, your grandmother's, your great grandmother's, is your psychic stuff something that's like the eldest daughter of the eldest daughter of the eldest daughter, that it's like passed on, something like that, or is?
Yeah, I guess. I guess we've never really talked about my character's family or anything like that. I guess because of her skills and nature, she's probably a little bit aloof and kind of odd with her family. So I wouldn't know if she has any siblings or not. But yeah, it would be something along the lines of it's something passed down hereditarily through the maternal side.
Cool. So I dig that question, and I wonder if there's an implication. What makes you the spooky, or part of what makes you the spooky, is the dark side tie. Now, other people can have supernatural powers, so it could be that your grandmother, your great grandmother, your mother weren't the spooky and didn't have the dark side tie, but maybe they did. Like, what are your thoughts on? Did they, as part of their dabbling in magic, did they get powers from a dark side? And if so, was it the same as yours or different? Or were they some other kind, like they were just like witches and not the spooky?
I think I'd probably want to say that maybe they're white witches, where they just dabble in like white magic, whereas I've just always had a fascination of everything across the board. So I've probably dabbled into things I probably shouldn't have growing up as a teenager.
I almost can kind of picture that, like, your mom and grandmother, your mother, they were probably like forces of good. Like they did good things. They opposed bad things, and maybe you were susceptible to temptation, and things were like seeking out how to like subvert the family line, like almost like active vengeance against them. Like you're the black sheep, but you've been hunted out by the enemies of your family. Is that interesting?
It might be interesting if maybe like my mom's side has always been white witches, but maybe there's something in my father's past, like a curse on his family, that has caused me to be susceptible to the dark side, and that's why.
I'm picturing your mom maybe saved your dad from something, but the curse like of his blood came through to you. Yeah, so that gives us a little fertile stuff that we don't have to answer right now, but we can kind of keep that. I've got some GM notes, and we can kind of keep that in the background. Very cool. So you have a move where you can use your library tomes to get +1 forward to use magic. The books and resources may or may not be there available to Josh, depending, like you said, they're grimoires, so they may or may not be written in language he can understand, or they're but if he uses them, he doesn't have the same move. He might be able to use them to get like fictional information, but not to get +1 forward to use magic. So even though he may physically get access to the books and be able to read them and things, that doesn't unlock the whole move. He just has the resources where he can like maybe get information, but not get a plus when he's using magic.
Okay.
So, and then Josh, Atticus also leveled up last session.
It's true.
Where are we with experience? I think you're both at 1 XP into the next level. Okay. You leveled up last session, and you took a suspicious mind move. Tell me about that.
If someone lies to me, I know it.
What is the, like, I don't know if you want to paint a scene of him being lied to. Does it register through physical tells? Does it register, does he just hear, like, hollow ringing to their words? What does he get?
I would think, since he's not a supernatural guy at all, that it would almost be like a great poker player reading people, to where he's so used to deceiving people and kind of picking up on social cues that it's almost second nature. He's almost like some of those like fake hypnotists who can like read on people's micro gestures to pick up when they're not telling the truth.
Okay, so really just like a well-trained, perceptive, probably has a little versatile knowledge of like psychology and other things about micro expressions. And
I think it would be kind of funny if like you would just like lean into somebody and you could kind of like smell the lie off of them.
yeah, something like that. And there could be things that tie in from the deal with the devil, like you sold your soul to the devil. So maybe things like that. And it can evolve while we play. If someone lies to you, you know it. I'm going to interpret that as, if you're dealing with a demon, if you're dealing with anything that's like a personality that lies to you, I'm going to include that in the someone. I'm going to do a real good, make a strong effort to, people aren't going to know that you have this power. So I'm going to be free to have people lie to you and make a strong effort to like be like, oh, by the way, you know they're lying. Like while I'm telling you the lie, like, yeah, you know he's lying, but here's what he says.
Okay.
Also, feel free to call me out on particular dialogues, like, hey, like he's saying this, is he lying? Because I might forget.
Sure.
I'm not going to be evasive, and people aren't going to know that you can do this unless or until you kind of expose, like, people can't get away with lying to you. And then only the people that would reasonably know that, right? You have some folks from your background, and we're due to see some of them because you spent a luck point last time. As those folks come up, for instance, they might like actually actively be digging or assembling files on you as they try to find you. In particular, Federico de la Grossa is interested in you, so he probably has the little. He also leveled up and got his own mystical library all about Atticus. Very good. So let's go ahead and reset any harm that you incurred last time. So Jessica Samantha has 1 check mark on harm. You can go ahead and take that off. should just be able to unclick it.
Got it.
And did my music go away yet? It sure did.
Is there? Okay. I'm gonna say, is there like a bubbly something in the background?
Yeah, it should be very faint in the background.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure my stuff was acting up.
Yeah. So you are all in New Mexico. You have driven about 3 days straight from Eugene, Oregon, from the conclusion of the last episode. I'm going to pretty much be keeping every session current with about a week between, but we might play a few days here and there. And I just want it to be kind of like a long haul, straight road trip. You're heading down to somewhere, maybe like Laredo, Texas. You're on a job to get to in Laredo. Jeeves has given you some instructions. And I kind of like the idea of a chupacabra hunt. Kind of a job that you guys know you can do, because Josh texted me a chupacabra picture and I thought it was kind of funny. But you guys are hauling ass down. You've gotten into the middle of New Mexico. You've actually gotten just past Socorro, which is where they did the, near there is Alamogordo, the nuclear test site in the New Mexico desert. Kind of up ahead, your next big town that you're going to be rolling through would be Roswell, famed for Area 51 and the crash site and all the aliens. It's getting toward evening. You've been barreling down the highway, making pretty good time. The RV is loaded up with all your kit. You got the car towed on a trailer behind it. Evening's coming on. You stop for gas in a little town called Nimoy. It's named after Leonard Nimoy, of course. You stop for gas in this little town, and as you stop for gas, kind of a heavy fog starts rolling in, kind of on the horizon. And while you're pumping gas, like, this fog picks up further and further. Gas station attendant comes out, charges you, rings you up, lets you know, these fogs come in every once in a while. Driving gets real dangerous. They're usually going about an hour or so. He points you over to a little diner called Sterling's over across the highway, and he recommends that you go and get a cup of coffee there. And so I think, and so here we have a kind of an outside picture of the diner, and then an interior shot of the diner, and where we pick up your control of Atticus and Samantha as you're being seated there at Sterling's. I'm sorry, Sterling's. This is a written adventure. I found it in the community where they have kind of seeds to give you just enough to play off of. And so they use a lot of sci-fi names, including Leonard Nimoy and Rod Serling. You're sitting in Sterling's Diner. The only other guest there right now is probably about a 40, 45-year-old woman, piercing blue eyes, like ice blue eyes. She's got a handful of books spread in front of her, a lot of mathematical notation. I think she's got a blue ink stain on her thumb, and she's kind of writing notes. She's flipping through books and pages, clearly like grading or doing some sort of research, sitting at the table. The waiter is a very boisterous, outgoing guy. He kind of nods as you've come in and sat down. He's standing there with the woman, talking to her, refilling her coffee, and then he comes bouncing over to where you two have seated yourself in a table. He comes up and, hey, what are you guys doing? Or how are you doing tonight? It's getting real thick out there. A cup of coffee, something to warm you up? What can I do for you? And then he looks at Samantha first.
Yeah, I'll have a coffee, soy milk.
He kind of looks up and says, soy milk. I'll see what we have in the back. Would milk be okay?
No. I'll have a tea instead, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, but we have tea. We have really good tea. I made it myself just recently. Josh, you know, Atticus knows. It's an old pot of tea, but yeah, it's good. Tea for you, sir? Coffee
I'll
with
do
whole
coffee.
milk?
I'll do coffee.
He sets down a couple of menus and goes walking back, and you see him dinking around. He's pouring a tea, and grabs a fresh cup. He comes over and sits on the tea and pours the coffee. So, small town here. I don't recognize you. You're driving through.
Yeah, we just got a little lost in the area, but we'll just try to locate where we're headed and get back on the road.
He's doing that thing where he's like nodding along. I think he kind of even puts his hand down and starts like suggesting toward like the pie on the menu in front of you. Says, "Oh, can I get you something?" He's nodding along and like doing all these like really cheap like waiter Jedi mind tricks. Just suggesting that you order something. Then we kind of have a scene where he's there to take your order. Do you guys want to order any food while you're waiting, or are you kind of anxious to get back on the road?
So if we got to wait out the fog, I'll just ask him whatever's best, and I'll order that.
Okay. Yeah, and I think he's got something. He's got like a roast beef platter or something. And for you, Samantha, ma'am.
Maybe some fruit, like fruit cup, or I don't know.
Yeah, so he brings out. 15 minutes later, he brings out a nice little roadside diner spread for Josh, and I think probably just found a can of fruit cocktail in the back and dumped it like all syrupy and not appetizing in a little bowl, and puts it down with a smile. Refills your coffee, brings out a fresh tea if you need, and he wanders away. Goes back over and starts kind of bugging the woman sitting down with her notes. Freshens her coffee up and starts asking her questions, and she just kind of hurriedly shoos him away. A little bit of time passes where the fog is just kind of continuing to settle around. Do you guys do anything while you're in here, or do we want to kind of jump ahead in the fog settling in?
Is there anything other than it being foggy? Is there anything weird about the fog?
It's just real thick fog. You are in the desert, and I guess whether or not you have any knowledge of like fog in the desert, but the gas station attendant didn't have any concern about it. So it's been kind of a recent thing. Maybe let's see what kind of moves.
How late in the evening is it?
So it's probably like getting on to 10 now. It's evening. It's dark, and I think that maybe would be one thing is like generally you'd think of like fog coming in maybe in the morning, not necessarily always, but.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if.
Would you? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't. Go ahead.
Well, let's put it this way, Addie. There's no way in hell I'm driving through that stuff. So, do you want to drive through the fog?
No, I mean I think we should wait it out. This seems like a good enough place. I don't.
Is there anything odd about the teacher?
No, she just seems. There's probably a community college or a high school in town that she teaches at, and she's just got a thick book, a thick stack of papers in front of her and books. Would you, like, if you're paying special attention to her, is there anything you'd be doing if you kind of reference your moves, or you are a telepath? Would you start really paying attention to her?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we're here in the fog. Might as well listen to some of the other people's conversations in the room.
Okay.
What's that? Oh, mine's almost dead. Sorry.
So the professor's thoughts. She's pouring through these. She's concerned about something. She's looking through her notes. She's thinking. She knows what she's thinking, but it's like physics that goes way above your head, right? She's also playing with maybe a lapel pin or like a brooch on her jacket. But as you're watching her, like she gets some comfort from it. And you see it looks like an old like Canon or something, some little like pewter brooch that she's got on, and she's kind of playing with that. You know that she's concerned, but like the language of the concern is like high level physics. Does Samantha have any kind of way into understanding physics? Was she a science person in school, or? You might be able to like investigate a mystery, read a bad situation if you think there's stress, or manipulate her into talking. But I think kind of while you're looking at her, the door opens up and 3 people come running in out of the fog. And it's a teenage kid, actually 3 teenage kids, a guy and 2 young women. And they're high on adrenaline. They come running in and say, "Jesus Christ, we almost got in a wreck." And they're kind of teasing each other about almost hitting it. And he's saying, "Oh, it came out of the fog. I had no idea what was going on." They slide into a booth, and pretty soon the waiter's over there pouring coffee, and they're coming down off a near miss, something they almost hit in the fog out there. Seems like they didn't even get a good glimpse of what they saw. So kind of as you're watching the professor, a few more people have trickled in now.
With the professor, you said there's ink on her thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Is that familiar to me as somebody who's been fingerprinted?
So yeah, good question. As you're kind of looking at her, you're able to dismiss that pretty quickly. Like it's not. It's really just like ink from writing. A lot of notes is rubbed off, but you're watching with quite a bit of intent, to pick up on that. And we might be able to trigger a move off of this. I'm wondering about maybe looking around and reading a bad situation.
Okay. So should I do a roll?
If you look at the questions for read a bad situation, investigate a mystery, kind of you're paying close attention to her, and you and Samantha both are doing that. Samantha's doing it kind of telepathically. You're doing it visually. So between you might want to decide if one of you wants to do a roll, or both of you.
I think I'm just gonna like throw the. I'm imagining that it's like one of those canisters that has the sugar in it.
Mm-hmm.
You can like put in your coffee or in your tea. I'm just gonna like push it down onto the floor and let it shatter, and tell Silver to like go get me some sugar. Like maybe that'll be like an in for him to go and talk to the teacher.
Okay. Are you gonna do that like using magic, like telepathically? Or are you just gonna brush it off your own table?
Just brush it off the table.
Okay. So yeah, Silver, you kind of see her reaching to do this. I think you kind of even get the intent of her like, I'm gonna break some shit just to make something exciting happen. You're welcome to like play along with it or interrupt, but
I won't interrupt. I'll just wait for it to happen.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a little bit of glass. The waiter looks up from where he was sitting. And getting a lot of noise. I don't know if your microphone picking up a TV maybe?
Yeah, Cassie just turned the TV on.
Okay. We can get through it.
I can see if there's a way to turn down.
That's quite a bit better right there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot better. That's a lot better.
Okay, cool.
Can you still hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Samantha knocks over the sugar, and you've got, tables all around with their own little sugar canisters, but I think the intent was to have you grab it. So what do you do? You're gonna approach, or what do you want to do?
I want to just kind of look things over from far away first, and maybe read a bad situation, or try to read a bad situation. Because she seems out of place compared to everything else here.
Okay. Sounds good. So go ahead and roll plus sharp. And where are we on that? A 6. Now, you are getting some offered assistance from Samantha. Samantha, he rolled a 6. Plus 1, which could come from a help out, could be enough to push him over the edge. Or you could let him have the fail.
Sure, I'll roll in.
If you're going to help out, you're going to roll plus cool. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. So the 7 on a help out, your help grants 10 plus 1, but you also expose yourself to trouble or danger. And Josh, on a read a bad situation, on a 7 to 9, you hold 1. You can ask one of those questions. So you don't mark XP because your miss came up to a 7. You get to ask a question. Samantha, I think, kind of as he's looking her over, the waiter, and you see his name tag. His name is Manon. He looks over to you with kind of a look of like, God damn it, tourists. The 3 kids kind of are under tension. They burst out laughing. The physicist at the table just doesn't even pay any attention. She's focused in, and maybe that's the thing that you notice. You start walking, or you start paying attention, Josh. And what's your question off read bad situation?
Are there any dangers we haven't noticed?
That kind of gives me an opening. She's increasingly kind of getting anxious. She started looking outside, kind of looking at her. She's got a smartphone on the desk, on the tabletop next to her. She's looking at some numbers there. She's referencing tables. She's looking outside. You see her. She is kind of looking. Ash, and she's aware, or she thinks she's aware of some bad shit that's going on. Her kind of building tension starts hitting you, but as you're focused on her, the door opens and closes. Samantha, you see another woman, maybe 45, 50, come walking in, and she's walking with a young girl who's maybe 20. 18 to 20. They come walking in together. They're damp. It looks like maybe it's starting to, like, either the mist is dampening everything out there, or they came through a little bit of rain. They're damp. The girl kind of shivers a little bit and says something to the woman and runs off to the bathroom. And the woman just starts kind of whistling. And I think what Atticus recognizes, are there any dangers we haven't noticed? You hear this whistling. Samantha just sees a kind of innocent scene of a whistle of a woman walking in. The whistling that Atticus hears, you recognize a tune and a whistle from Frederica de Rosa. Had a assassin, kind of an enforcer for his mob, for his criminal enterprise, named Daria. And one of her quirks that she always had is when she was relaxed and calm, when you would interact with her kind of at one of his establishments, this particular tune, she would always whistle it. And you hear it kind of ringing out. Surreptitious glance over your shoulder, and sure enough, like, there's Daria. Just came in. I think you catch the young woman walking off toward the restrooms, and Daria's eyes just kind of sweep over you. Doesn't appear to notice you. Sees a table in the corner, and she heads to start sitting down over there. I think where she's going to sit, she'll be facing away from you, and the young woman would be sitting facing toward you.
So maybe it's time to get our check and leave.
Yeah, yes.
Do you make any eye contact or any indication to Sam that, like, there's trouble here?
I mean, I'd probably say that without having touched my food.
Okay. So you kind of wave for the check. Manning comes over and you tell him that you want the check, and pretty quickly he nods and he comes over and he presents you the check. Says he'll be your cashier. Says that the fog hasn't broken yet. Are you sure you're gonna go out there in it?
Yeah, it's just weather. I mean, it's not like there's anything
Sure enough.
scary out there.
So he slides the check over. You guys settle up with cash or? Actually,
Yeah, I'll open up my purse and put, I don't know, $20. I'm pretty sure it was less than that.
Yeah. He looks at you like, so did you need change? And now he's like shaking his head no, trying to do those Jedi mind tricks.
No, but do you have a smoke?
Hey, he calls out to the cook in the back, goes out there and comes back and brings up a cigarette and a book of matches that say Sterling's Diner. He's got like a flying saucer on it, and says, "Here you go. You guys be safe out there."
It's a classy establishment. Good job.
Yeah. So you guys head outside?
Yeah.
Yep. I think, Atticus, you're trying to step out without catching any attention from Daria, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna say she's a trained assassin. Like she's a murderer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying assassin. She's a enforcer. She's a very proficient killer. She's not like a necessarily slip through the window and poison you in your sleep. But she's mindful of her environment. And so, like, you've paid the check. I think maybe Samantha has seen her kind of glance around once or twice, maybe toward the restroom door, maybe, as you've interacted with them. But she's kind of glancing around. She's mindful of her presence. And you know that when you get up and leave, like, if you don't have any way to avoid it, she's probably going to take a look.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing are you doing anything to disguise who you are? Are you waiting for any opportunities? Or
Maybe I'll wait until the person comes back from the bathroom and they engage in conversation so that it would be harder to look away.
Okay. Very good. Yeah, so she comes back out and you see kind of a familiar resemblance now. Daughter, niece, there's something familial going on there. She comes walking by, eyes go right past you. Probably occurs to you like Federico is from Miami, like that's where they operate. And here you're out in the middle of the desert in New Mexico, and Daria doesn't seem to be hunting you, and she's got this young kid with her, but clearly it's not a good situation. The child goes and sits down, starts chatting with her, telling her something excited. You want to just get up and kind of stroll toward the door? Bill's paid.
Yep. My assumption is she's here for me, even though you said she's not.
Oh, and she hasn't given any indication. And I don't know how well Atticus knows his ability to detect lying. Do we want to establish now, can people, if they're not actively lying to you, can they kind of try to misdirect you? Or do you know when people are acting like they don't see you, but really they're watching you type things?
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's up to you. Seems like
it's whatever.
Seems like that would power things up quite a bit.
We would just find different ways to challenge you if you had that, if that was something you could just do. But you don't get a sense that she's watching you, but you just don't even maybe know that you would know her for sure or not. But yeah, your movement does kind of provoke her attention just a little bit. Go ahead and act under pressure. Roll plus cool to try and just not provoke her attention or be recognized.
I'm not very cool.
You're cool enough. 7-9. Keeper's gonna give you a worse outcome, hard choice, or a price to pay. I think you're going to slip out and she's not going to recognize who you are. Either you're going to have to slip out ahead of Sam, who you have every reason to believe she wouldn't recognize, and kind of leave Sam back to cause a little disturbance, or you're going to have to get up and just move out, head down, and kind of rush outside. You want to go alone, or the both of you just kind of rush outside?
I think together.
Yeah. So you just kind of like maybe nod your heads together, cluster real close, go rushing through the door.
Yeah, that's what I would vote for.
Samantha, he kind of proposes that, like, we just need to get out there.
Yeah,
have you read his mind at all? Kind of know what's going on in here, or are you?
Not really read his mind. I mean, I tend to allow him to have his private thoughts when it comes to like normal situations. When it comes to a situation where I know that we're like getting attacked or like that there's monsters around, then there's usually like small little cues where I can recognize that it's the telepathic talk is kind of necessary. But
Okay. But for now, you just kind of follow his lead.
Mhm.
So you said when there's monsters around, you bring your attention to the Roll20 map. As you kind of come rushing out the front doors of Serling's, you blast through the doors. Your eyes are kind of go from back on her to the RV up ahead, across the parking lot, and you start kind of rushing by. And at the last moment, you're halfway from between the building and the RV. This shape kind of lumbers out of the mist. It's a big amphibious shape. Let me give it a description here. It's a huge and weird creature that preys on large life forms and large life forms in swamps or relatively shallow bodies of fresh water. He's dripping wet. He's kind of walking across the pavement. You hear this heavy slap of the big webbed foot on the ground. The next foot kind of pries up as like the suckers break free and it steps down. It looks kind of like a big frog, except it has, instead of 4 legs, it has these 4 kind of whipping, writhing tentacles that kind of start reaching out toward you. Its mouth opens, this big bullfrog mouth, gaping teeth. It stands about 7 feet tall, big, squat, bulbous body, and it has a series of eyes on like a stalk above its forehead. Fetid breath kind of washes across, like as you're going, you just get this sense of this shape looming out. You get hit by the smell, you turn and look, and like first impression, you just register this big beast coming out of the mist. I think you're kind of caught off guard. You're still like in your mindset getting away from Daria inside, and this thing's right there. What's I guess Sam, you're less distracted by what's behind you. What do you do?
Do I recognize the creature?
Let's look at your moves. Investigate a mystery. Like you can kind of quickly take in size, shape, smell. You might be able to consult your memory and think of what it is. You want to try and roll investigate a mystery?
Yeah.
Yeah, plus sharp. An 8. So investigate a mystery, you're going to get 1 hold. So you get 1 hold, and you can ask 1 question that I will answer truthfully.
What does the 1 hold mean?
If you look at the move for investigate a mystery, 1 hold can be spent to ask the keeper one of the following questions, and the questions are listed there. So, what happened here? What sort of creature? Let me pop open the hunter reference sheet again. Go ahead and look at this. It's going to pop up on your screen.
Okay.
They're listed there. It could also be on that separate sheet.
Yeah, let's... Let's see. What sort of creature is it?
Okay. So you mentioned that you have your grimoires and you also have like little monster books.
Yeah.
Amongst your monster books, there's actually like an old Dungeons and Dragons monstrous manual, ratty cover, pages torn. It's full of like mythical beasts and creatures and ridiculous things. And you know that you've looked at this one and thought like that's fucking crazy. Like the creator of that was on an acid dream. But you also know that like there was, and of course this is me making up bullshit here. Like there was a cult influence in some of the early days of like the role playing scene and the development of those books. And so like there may have been some people who knew things that plugged in weird shit. And this was called a froghemoth. And it's like an interdimensional monster. It's not related biologically to a frog at all, but it's just a thing that comes through interdimensional rifts sometimes. Usually in a swampy area. You're in the middle of a desert. So that's kind of what you get off of the froghemoth. As you kind of standing there looking at it, it reaches out with its 4 tentacles and grabs at you. What do you do?
Try to kick some ass.
Kick some ass. So how does that look like? Like you have your weapon out. You draw your weapon. It's got I think 3 tentacles kind of swooping in at you, while the other one's just kind of hanging back, ready to hit you.
Yeah. Let's try shooting it. No, let's try like slicing at it with my big knife.
Okay, very good. So your big knife kind of slicks out of your. Where do you keep the big knife? Is it in your hip? Is it in a bag? Is it? What does it look like as you pull it out?
No, it's probably on my back.
Okay,
just
under a
because,
coat.
yeah.
Very good. So you slice that knife out and take a cut at it. Go ahead and roll, kick some ass, which is plus tough. Nice. So on kick some ass, on a 7+, you and whatever you're fighting inflict harm on each other. The amount of harm is based on the established dangers in the game. That usually means you inflict harm rating of your weapon, and your enemy inflicts their attacks harm rating on you. You didn't get to choose any of the extra effects, so you basically just trade harm with this thing. So you're going to do a hit point of damage to it. I have updated. And let me just double check its thing here. So yeah, it slaps out with its tentacles. They're going to do 2 harm to you. Do you have any armor?
No.
Okay. They're going to do 2 harm. So go ahead and mark 2 harm. And they're going to kind of wrap around you and start trying to grab and pull you toward its big gaping mouth. Its big wet tongue kind of rolls out, and you see it's covered with a thick kind of a slimy saliva substance. As it hits the ground, it kind of sticks for a moment, and like with effort, it picks it back up. And you kind of think it's going to try and hold you still with its tentacles and like throw a sticky tongue out to grab you. As you're cutting with the knife, you keep its tentacles from quite getting a purchase on you. But it's clearly trying to do that, and it's going to shove you down its throat if it got a chance. For now, you're holding it off. You get beaten up a little bit, but you keep it from getting a good grip on you. Let's get over to Atticus. Like, your attention's drawn from that to this, like, all of a sudden Samantha's under attack by your side.
Yeah.
And so I see everything that you just described happening.
Yeah, you probably like tune in just a half second late. Like she's already fending it off with a knife right as you're paying attention.
I'm gonna pull out my 9mm and try and shoot it in its tongue.
Aiming straight for the tongue.
Yep.
You mean attack versus tongue?
I'm less tough than I am cool.
You are also kind of within range of all of its tentacles and stuff. but you rolled an 11, which gives you access to not just trade harm with it, but on a 10 plus, you can choose one of the 4 bullet points there. You can take +1 forward or give +1 forward to another one. You can inflict terrible harm, which means you'll do 1 extra one to it. You can suffer less harm, or you can force them where you want them.
If I force him where I want them, can I push him like out of tentacles length from us?
Yeah. So you're going to kind of use your gun to like shoot it a few times and force it to back away to where it can't quite hit you.
So so it can't like pull her in.
Yeah. So I think as you draw the gun, it moves in with that third or fourth tentacle that it wasn't slapping Sam with. It drops that across you, and it hits hard for 2 harm. Smacks into your ribs, and you feel like a little crunch. Oh, you know what? Let me double check the harm move. Yeah, I think you actually kind of fall down to one knee. While you're shooting it, it bashes you. You feel like a little crunch in the ribs. You fall down to one knee, but you're just planting shots into its tongue, into its face, and it starts to back away from you. There's blood and saliva mixing everywhere, kind of splashing on everybody. It's clearly getting hurt by these attacks, and you drive it off a few steps. And it kind of sits back there and starts like looking at you and trying to figure out how to get close, but it doesn't understand what you're doing to hurt it. And yeah, you've given it some distance where it's not attacking you just at the moment. What do you do, Atticus?
Oh, and that was 2 harm to it, right?
2 harm to it and 2 harm to you also.
Got it. How close are we to the truck?
The truck is, let's say, a short dash. Like you think you could, with luck, you've driven it far enough back, you think you can make it. Do you have like a little remote control where you can unlock it as you're crossing the distance so you're not fumbling with keys?
You probably have like a fob or something.
Okay. So yeah, you can make it if you can stay a step ahead of it.
How close are we to the diner?
I think you're halfway between.
Wow.
In this moment where you're, I can't see. In this moment where you're looking,
That's fine. She's watching the Cubs game as we play.
Very good. Yeah, you're halfway to one or the other. Halfway between each.
Okay, then I'm gonna run back towards the diner.
Okay.
And throw the door open and just yell over to Daria, "Hey, I think you need to get out here and take a look at this." And then I'm gonna duck back out the door.
Nice.
Hopefully she's happy to see me.
That's a weird approach to like manipulate someone, I think. Like that's kind of your thing is I'm going to try and get other people to deal with some problems for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be a kind of manipulate.
I'm good at that, so I'm happy to roll it.
Go ahead and give me a plus charm.
I think I kind of imagine him going like, "Hey Daria, I just slit your tires." Like
And then my luck that I used last time should still be marked, right?
Yeah, those don't reset. So on a 7 and 9, they'll do it, but only if you do something for them right now to show you mean it. If you ask them too much, they'll tell you what, if anything, it would take for them to do it. So as you kind of take a step back, you see the frog's attention, Froghemoth's attention shift to Sam. She's the bigger threat. She didn't hurt it quite as bad with her little pig sticker as you did with the 9. You're able to run to the door, fling it open. You see Daria already has her daughter, like one hand on her daughter's shoulder, pushing her down. She has a big, wicked gun in her hand, probably like a 357. Ooh. She's got Daria down, or her daughter down, and she's kind of looking out the window. She's pointing the gun, and she levels it at you just as you come in the door. Tell me exactly what does you say to her? You called her by name. You called her Daria,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I want to know who it is. I'll say, Daria, get out here and help us kill this thing, and I'll go back with you.
She looks at you with just a moment of confusion, and then she says, "Silver, what the fuck are you doing here?" And then she looks back at the demon. Like, you can tell, like, she's not lying. She had no idea you were here. She's kind of pointing the gun at you. Like, she kind of wants to kill you, but she sees that thing. She looks down at her daughter, and she says, "What the fuck are you? What the fuck is that thing out there?" She's a little more panicked than you've ever heard her. Like, you've seen her like taking gunfire, and you can recognize like she's really concerned about the kid. And you know that, like, as long as she's worried about the kid's safety, she's not going to run out there and jump into a gun battle. Either present that thing is the biggest threat against the kid, or promise some other way of protecting the kid, and she might join you in. Let's cut real quick to Samantha. Atticus just kind of ran to the door. You're standing there with like your knife out, and the frog like goes from him to like look at you. That tongue kind of swirls around its teeth, leaving like a bloody saliva smear across its teeth, and it starts to kind of inch forward. Atticus drove it back far enough that it can't attack you where it's at, but it's starting to kind of creep. What's Samantha doing?
I want to use some magic.
Okay.
And since it's a frog, I would think that maybe some sort of fire would inflict some sort of harm to it.
Okay. There is you can consider like investigate a mystery where you can do what can hurt it. That might be a strong option.
I'm gonna do that first then. That's gonna be sharp.
Yes.
Did I roll another 9?
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, one more question off that list.
What can I do to hurt it?
I would have asked, where can it go, or where did it go? Not really.
No, but it's right in front of you.
Where did it go?
I should open my eyes. Oh, there it is. No, actually, here's a good opportunity again. You have a 9. Oh, and I missed it with Atticus's charm. You have a 9. If Atticus could find some way to help with your investigative mystery, you would be able to hold 2 instead of 1, and you get 2 questions. Is there something Atticus could be doing to help in this situation, though?
I would love to, but I don't know what that would be.
Okay.
Besides,
let's
maybe,
go ahead and push on, because 7-9's not bad. You're not exposed to any risk if nothing immediately appears to us.
the only thing I could think of that I could do to help would be to buy time somehow, to give her a chance to take a better look.
Okay. How would you end up doing that?
Is it near any other vehicles?
Yeah, I think there's probably it's pretty clear. What does Manon drive? My notes on Manon show that he's the waiter. He's aggressive. He's maybe a little bit religious. What does he drive?
A sweet powder blue El Camino.
There you go. Yeah, there's an nice El Camino out there. It's got like a little Roswell air freshener in the middle of it, in the shape of like a flying saucer with an alien hanging out of it. But then also like the rosary beads are hanging from it, and it's parked right behind the frog demon.
I'm going to take a few shots with my 9mm at his car and hope it's got an alarm, so that the monster will like stop and look over at that, because it seems dumb.
Okay, roll plus cool.
To be established that I'm not super cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be your help out stat though. No matter what you're doing.
I know.
Okay. So yeah, you fire into his car a few times.
Yes. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry.
So you've just kind of told Daria that she needs to help you, or come out here and kill this thing. She's worried about her daughter. You turn, you see that like Sam is looking at it and maybe starting to waggle her fingers in a magical way, and you quickly just think, I'm going to shoot some rounds into the powder blue El Camino behind it, and you do that. The alarm goes off. The creature like looks confused for a moment, which is going to get Sam her 10 plus. But meanwhile, the waiter like screams, like they're all kind of panicking anyway. He gives like this loud shriek, and he comes up and he just punches you in the side of the face. It doesn't actually do any harm. It doesn't do any. It's a zero harm attack. But like he's freaking out and pissed and doesn't like what you just did. You're gonna be kind of momentarily just dazed, and you now have this kind of screaming asshole on your shoulder bugging you. We cut back to Samantha. The thing was getting ready to kind of leap at you while you were assessing it, and the car alarm has bought you some time. You have 2 questions to ask. You wanted to know what can hurt it?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's kind of 2 parts to this answer. The first one is pretty much anything can hurt it. Like it's not particularly vulnerable to fire or anything else. But you do know that like in the lore, it has a weakness that like somewhere in the area is an open portal to its dimension or something. Like they can only manifest during times where these portals are open. And so to get rid of these things, you have to shut down the portal. So immediately the weakness is just kill it with damage. Long term, even if you kill this one, more will come through the portal, and they'll be here as long as the portal's open. Yeah, one more question.
What can it do?
Good question. So these things, it's mainly from the D&D book that you're getting this information. As a player, you get to know that it's correct, but maybe there's some interesting dramatic irony where Samantha's just like, I don't know how well these D&D people stat these things out. Basically, what it likes to do is drag you into its mouth and just engulf you, kind of whole. If it can hold you in its mouth for a while, its digestive acids start working on you, and it'll fuck you up pretty quick. Like you can't survive very long inside of it. Not necessarily immediately dead, but it won't last long. Yeah, that's what you get out of it with your 2 questions. And you're kind of on the verge of doing some fiery magic at it, or trying to work some magic.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You can look at the use magic.
So. Let's see. Can I use big magic already or no, right?
Can you use what?
Can I use big magic?
Yeah, you sure can. It just usually takes more, like, whatever you want to try and do with it will be a big requirement. So what are you wanting to do with big magic?
Well, I just wanted to know to start off with, but I'll probably use something with magic.
Yeah, big magic is hard to pull off on the fly. It usually requires like preparation, teamwork, things like that. I think options might be you can bar a place or portal to a specific person or type of creature. So you like establish either the RV or the diner. Like no froghemoths can get in the diner. You can trap the monster like where it is if we can establish a good way to do that. Communicate with the monster, or harm it, or heal yourself, or enchant your weapon. I would also say that usually enchanting your weapon is a better option than just inflicting direct harm, simply because you can use the weapon over and over again without having to keep rolling use magic. Unless your weird is better than your tough, I guess, then it would maybe be better to do weird over and over again.
My weird is better than my tough. Yeah. Let's go ahead and trap the monster.
Okay. You're going to trap it by the car, or where do you want to trap it? Like, do a circle on the ground type thing?
Yeah.
I think the
ideally,
spell... Ideally at what?
Oh, I was thinking that it'd be cool, like, to trap the monster in, like, a ring of fire.
Nice. I think...
But it looks... But when I try to do that, it looks really stupid. It looks like I'm doing the Macarena for absolutely no reason.
I think you're going to need to... Yeah, I think the spell requires ritual chanting and gestures. You're also going to need to draw arcane symbols. You're going to need to circle the creature. Kind of put the circle, or lure it into a circle. So how are you going to accomplish... I think the rituals and chanting you can do. But how are you going to do the circle big enough to entrap it? You're going to call on Atticus to kind of like, you draw the circle where you are and then use Atticus to draw it through the circle, or do you want to circle it where it stands?
Try to circle it where it stands.
Yeah. I think as you kind of approach it, it's kind of smashing on the car for just a moment, so it's a little distracted. If you want to try and act under pressure, just to do a big circle around it without attracting its attention, you could roll plus cool.
Ugh.
6. Atticus, what might you want to do here in this situation? Actually, let's kind of leave Sam there for a moment. And Atticus, you want to try and help with that, or do you want to do the issue with Daria?
Let me help with this first. So she's trying to draw the circle around it.
Yeah, she's kind of running off past it. And what are you using to draw with? Help Josh and I understand what you're trying to actually do with chalk, or pouring gas, or salt.
Salt.
Okay.
Yeah, probably stolen one of the little containers of salt from inside the diner, thinking that it might be useful at some point. So, yeah.
Maybe it's just a habit. You always steal the salt shaker.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Just in case.
I'm going to give the dude in the diner a mean look and start shooting his car more.
Go ahead and roll plus cool. Okay, so it's enough to help Samantha push up to a +1, or to a 7. It's not enough to avoid any harm from him. He actually grabs you, and I think he's kind of goes from punching you to like you start shooting. He shrieks and he grabs at your arm, and he knocks the gun out of your hand as you're like shooting his car. You do it a few more times. The monster hears the pinging off the car, the gunfire. It's distracted a little bit, but yeah, you get the gun knocked out of your hands. And Jessica, your act under pressure just went to a 7 to 9. Keeper's going to give you a worse outcome, hard choice, or price to pay. You're going to have to circle around this thing and kind of get separated off from the rest of the, from Josh to complete the circle.
Mhm.
Is that something you're willing to do?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you're able to kind of move around, and we see you kind of pouring the salt, like dodging a couple of errant tentacles. You complete the circle, kind of off at a distance from the diner now. You're probably closer to the RV and also out toward like the field at the edge of the parking lot. Let's leave you there for just a moment, preparing to use magic, and cut back to the scene in the diner where Atticus has had the gun knocked from his hand. Daria's pointing a gun at you this whole time, and she's considering shooting you, but she's looking at the monster and worried about her daughter. And the kid is freaking out, smacking you.
The kid is smacking me?
Yeah,
The
still
the waiter, not her kid.
Yeah. No, not her kid. Her kid's actually like, Mom, what the fuck? Why do you have a gun? Like, she's like now in like panic mode. She hears the gunfire, but like she doesn't see the frog monster outside. And she's surprised that Mom has a gun.
Can the mom see the monster outside?
Yeah, she can, and her eyes are kind of big, but I think at least Atticus knows, like, she knows there's weird shit out there. She sees it as a threat, like, let's kill it and then try and think what it was.
Is there anything near me in the doorway that I can grab other than this dude?
Yeah, just what do you think? Like a little one of those stands that has like local real estate free handouts, or newspaper stand, or like a little lectern where they put the seating chart. What sort of thing are you grabbing for? Pie display?
I was thinking something I could grab and swing at this guy.
Do you want to attack
Coat
him?
rack.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to grab him and pull him towards me and try to slam the door on him as I'm pulling him at me.
So what's your intention here? Because like you can just inflict harm against him if you want. He's really not a fighter. He's just kind of in the way.
I just want to get him. I just want to get him off my back so that I can communicate to her.
So maybe act under pressure or manipulate someone. Which, like, do you want to calm him down?
No,
Like, he hasn't seen the demon yet. He just kind of knows that you're shooting at his car. Hasn't registered for him. He's looked out there and it just hasn't clicked in his head.
No, I want to hurt him.
But you're not, okay, so you want to hurt him. So I think go ahead and inflict your harm. What are you doing to hit him? Like just pushing him and slamming the door into him?
Yeah.
And yeah, you inflict kind of one harm on him. I think you catch his hand. You hear like a bone crack as his hand, and he starts screaming, "Oh Jesus!" Clutching his hand. He like the fight's going out of him for just a moment. And what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna say to her, none of us are gonna get out of here, and I point to her daughter, unless we take care of this thing.
Okay. She kind of looks back out of the thing. She nods. She tells her daughter, like, get back to the bathroom, and starts running. The girl doesn't go, but she kind of runs up toward the door, grabs the kid, pulls him out of the way, throws him at the ground. He's starting to mumble. He's actually like probably going through like a Lord's Prayer or something. Physics professor this whole time is still going through her books, kind of looking outside and then turning back to the books. Daria goes outside and starts like pointing the gun at the frog, trying to like pick her shot.
And I'm gonna grab my gun. I'm gonna pick my gun back up.
Grab. And she asks you as you're rearming, what the fuck is this thing?
I don't have any idea. It's big ugly thing. And I'm kind of moving into a flanking position so that she and I aren't right in the same place. Okay.
Yeah. So you guys kind of get into this position where you're kind of your arcs of fire are going to kind of converge on it, but you're not shoulder to shoulder if it swoops out with a tentacle or something or jumps at you. You probably noticed that vaguely Samantha is kind of downrange from how Daria is going to be shooting. And as we kind of follow that trajectory, we see Daria over there, or Samantha over there, preparing to cast a spell.
Real quick, if we can arrange in such a way that I can be circling towards the RV, that would be great.
Yeah, you're moving out from the diner, and she's moving like along the wall of the diner, maybe. Very good. Let's cut back to Sam. You're casting a spell. Tell me what it looks like as you chant and dance and complete the circle of salt.
Oh, so I've just completed the circle of salt. I have my cigarette and smoke and.
Oh, is it lit now?
Yes, matches. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So, from the matches and the cigarette, that kind of is the fire that I needed to light the circle. But I had to do the Macarena in order to get the fire to turn into a blaze. And I'm just like looking at Silver and going, "Shut up!"
So it's not that you want to do the Macarena; it's that like this is actually a part of the spell that you hate having to do. Is it? I'm almost picturing like your magic is fueled by shame in some ways. I dig it. Go ahead and use magic for us.
Huh?
Use magic.
Oh, okay. That is weird, I think.
Oh, weird. Yeah. Yep. So a 9. All right. You get to choose one glitch. You choose your effect, which was to trap the creature, and you get a glitch. There's a list of 5 glitches. The effect is weakened. It's short duration. You take 1 harm. The magic draws immediate attention, or it has a problematic side effect.
Problematic side effect.
Okay. So I think you're dancing the Macarena with kind of dead eyes and an embarrassed flush. You've actually looked at Atticus and admonished him, maybe even like telepathically, like "shut up," like you haven't seen him. As you're doing it, the spell starts to work. The molecules in the air start to agitate and heat up. It's kind of like it's not that the fire from your cigarette like jumps there. It's just like a sympathetic relationship starts to occur. The salt's not burning; it's actually containing. It's like heat just generates in this thing, and a big ring of fire surrounds in a perimeter around this frog. It kind of cringes and it lashes a tentacle out and pulls it back singed. You smell a little bit of burnt flesh. It goes to kind of leap toward one direction, and the flames just roar higher, and it settles back down, and the ring comes back down. I think the flames are like about 3-4 feet off the ground, but as it tries to go over it, they're playing defense. As you're taking pride in this moment, and you feel like reality is starting to normalize around you once again, the mists just thicken around you. You know, like something's not right here. Your spell has kind of weakened the fabric of reality immediately around you, and you feel yourself kind of hum. I think like in your molars particularly, you get like this little vibration, and you start to like the fog starts to settle in around you thicker and thicker, and you start smelling this damp swamp air, like you're moving from New Mexico to the realm that the frogs have come from. There's a special move for this instance. I'm going to copy it and paste it into the chat log. When someone transported outside of the mortal realm by the transdimensional nexus, Hellgate, roll plus weird. So go ahead and roll plus weird, Jessica. 8. On a 7 to 9, you can still see the doorway back to the real world, but a froghemoth is between you and it. And I think it makes sense that like to get back to this, you're going to have to go through the fire and past the Froghemoth to like get back to Atticus.
So did the fire like send it sort of back into the trans-dimensional world along with me, or?
No, I think you're like there's a gate from the transdimensional world. Like the way back to the real plane is like a tunnel that like terminates right at the Froghemoth. It's on the other side of the portal, basically. So you're gonna have to charge into the fire ring, past the guy, to get outside of being trapped in here. You can move around in here some too, and you think that portal will be open for a while. Like you can do other stuff, but to get back, you're gonna have to get past that. If Josh is able to kill it on the other side, then it's gonna be an easier matter for you, right?
Oh, okay.
And
So
let's cut over to Atticus. Oh, go ahead.
one quick question. So the damage that I do to it on this side and the damage that he does to it on that side, do they equate or?
Yeah, they're cumulative. They stack together. So it's in the real world, but the laws of reality are kind of loose there also. You just created this little pocket. I'd said earlier, like you have to shut down the nexus so that they can't be here anymore. You've created like a minor nexus yourself, and you can shoot into. It's almost like looking through a window. It's you could just step through the window and be back in the real world, but this thing's like right on the other side of the window.
Okay.
So if you shoot through the hole, you're going to be shooting directly at it. And yeah, it's perched right there. And we kind of, I think, Atticus, what does it look to you as she's getting surrounded by this fog and like transported the beam? I think you get some of that swamp air kind of blows through. It's probably a hot, humid air. What does it look like to you as she gets pulled into this other dimension?
Probably just that, like the fog that's around kind of becomes this funnel that's almost moving in that direction.
Yeah, so you see it take the shape of a tunnel through the other world. Frog is sitting there. She's caught up in some weird shit. What is Atticus going to do? And you do have Daria helping.
I'm going to fire at it, but I'm going to try to circle back to the RV so that I can get my better gun out of there.
Okay. Very good. Go ahead and give me some kick some ass. Nice. So you get to roll, or you get to pick two off the, or one extra bullet off the thing. The thing is stuck in place already.
I'll go ahead and inflict terrible harm.
Okay. So you do 3 points of damage to it. And then Daria is going to unload with her pistol also. And she squeezes off about 3 shots. And as she shoots her pistol, this 357, it makes your 9mm seem like a little chirping bird. And she knocks about the same number of holes or chunks of meat out of it as you did with her shot. This thing's crippled now. It's kind of whimpering, bleeding in a pile here.
Should I be taking 2 harm every time I hit it?
No, you're only taking 2 harm when. Oh shit! Let's see here. You are trading blows, but let me double check. No, you know what? You didn't have to roll kick some ass because it's not in a position to hurt you back. You got to just do your damage. Let me just double check real quick on kick some ass. I think you just get to do your damage. I'll need to double check on that, but I think you're fine. You're not taking 2 harm.
Okay.
Because it can't reach out to you. And anytime it tries to throw a tendril out, they get burned. So now it's actually kind of covering itself up with tendrils, trying to protect itself. It's fully facing the 2 of you. It actually starts backing toward the tunnel that Samantha's in, like it's going to try and slip through again. Although
it
it's
can't,
but
right?
hits that fire and it gets stopped. No, yeah, it's stuck in the world. Daria kind of yells to you, like, keep the pressure on, like this fucker's toast. And then she like looks at you, and you know, like she plans to deal with you as soon as this threat's no longer presented. And Jessica, let's see what Samantha does in her fog tunnel.
Look at my cigarette. I'm like, damn, I should have asked for another.
It's starting to burn to the nib.
Yeah. Can I? Fuck. Can I enchant my gun, I guess, and try to shoot it?
Yeah, there'll be a use magic. What are you gonna do to enchant your gun? Like, is it just an incantation? Do you have like all your occult little like necklaces and amulets and stuff? Do you have anything you use to enchant your gun? Oh, and do you use your mystical library in any way? Do you have one of your books on you that you can kind of consult? Because when you use your tomes, you do get to take +1 forward on magic.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything on me right now.
Okay. Well, let's look at the use magic to enchant your gun real quick. I think it takes about 10 seconds. It takes just a little bit of time. I think the weird materials you're gonna have to use are some of the blood and saliva from the creature that you intend to hurt with it. So it's not gonna be enchanted to hurt like everything, but like against this creature, and you are covered in blood and saliva, so you're good to get that quickly.
Okay.
It's good. And use magic. Nice. So you guys haven't rolled any failures that you haven't modified with help, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So magic works without an issue. So you're going to enchant your weapon, your gun. What does it look like when it's enchanted to hit this frog?
It just turns from the blue-gray steel to like silver, I guess.
Okay. Has almost like a little bit of a glow to it in the fog.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, you feel the kind of gun start to hum, and you feel this vibration in your body from kind of being here, and the gun seems to vibrate at like a what would you call, like a dissonant rhythm, or I don't know if dissonance is the right word, but like it's at a different rhythm. It vibrates kind of against what you're feeling, and you get the sense like there's something. Maybe even start thinking of like that professor in the diner, thinking about like vibration patterns and things like that. As you're sitting in here, your gun starts to take this different vibrational pattern, and you can point at the thing. You are not necessarily safe from harm. You're in a pretty bad place, but you are in a position to get the drop on this thing. Go ahead and roll plus tough if you want to, or yeah, kick some ass. Roll plus tough if you want to shoot it. Nice. So 7+, you're going to trade harm with it. You're doing 3 points of damage now. You kill the damn thing. What I'd like to know from you, like, describe the scene where you kill it, describe how it hurts you, and then I'll have one more question after doing that. And you're going to take 2 harm.
Okay. I think I'm just gonna like turn around and like tilt my head to the side as I look down the scope and just shoot it like straight in the heart.
Okay.
And as I'm doing that, maybe it blows up, and in the process of that, like its tentacles go flying out of the ring and probably slap me.
Okay, nice. Maybe even like some of that sticky saliva from its tongue turns into napalm as it flies through the fire, like sticks all over you. Yeah, tentacles slamming you. The thing does like kind of blast apart, and it starts to dissolve, and like maybe it's got a little bit of acidic blood or something. It just starts to kind of ooze. It's laying there's a rubbery pile of meat and blood. Go ahead and take 2 harm as this hits you. You can spend a luck point if you want to avoid all the harm, or you can take it. Once you get to 4 harm, you start getting into a little bit of trouble.
Okay, then I'll have to use. It's just 1 luck point, right?
It would be 1 luck point to avoid. 4 harm isn't like you're not gonna pass out or anything, but you start like
Right.
when you take more harm after that, it becomes unstable. You have to get treatment pretty quick, or you'll continue to be hurt.
I'll do the luck point.
Okay. And I think as it blows up and you're kind of covered with saliva, you spend that luck point, and like you should be burning a little bit, but I think you start to thrum in sort of the same sort of anti-vibration of the gun, and everything goes from being the foggy stench. You get that kind of color fades out that you get when the dark side visits you, and you get these whispers through the fog, and they tell you that. What do they call? Do they ever call you like Miss Phrase, or do they have a nickname for you? Do they have a familiar name for you? Sammy. Yeah, I think they say Sammy. There is power to be held here. You should tarry a while. We could learn so much. You could tame one of these beasts and take it home.
No, thank you.
Step back through the portal.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of step back through the portal. Does it close behind you, or does it stay open temporarily? Was it your presence on the other side that was kind of holding it open, or is it just there for a while now?
No, I think it slowly closes, kind of like just slowly inches in until it closes completely. Maybe about like 10 minutes before it closes whole.
And now the next thing that happens, the frog is blown up. You step out of the tunnel. I think what we see from Daria's perspective is she draws probably like a. She has like a little 380, like a smaller pistol, something a little bit smaller than 9. Pulls it from her hip, and she points it at Samantha as she swings her 357 toward Atticus. She thinks she's going to get the drop on you. What is Atticus doing? Like, you kind of anticipated she was going to turn her attention on you once the thing was dead? What's Atticus doing?
Can we see in the windows of the cafe?
Yes.
Can we see all the people in there?
Yeah, I think at this point they're kind of pressed up to the window. The daughter never went back to the bathroom. She's watching. The 3 teenagers are like staring, completely stupid. Gunfire was going on. They're like standing there presenting big targets. Even the waiter is like holding his wrist in his hand, but like mouth agape, looking out there at the big frog demon. The professor is looking kind of thoughtfully as the tunnel closes behind Samantha.
I'm going to turn my gun and point it towards the VIP guest inside the cafe.
Nice.
Mexican standoff style.
Hold a gun on a child. Give me a roll plus cool to act under pressure. Not very cool, dude.
Nope.
What does it look like as you're not cool? And does Samantha want to try and do something to help out?
Yeah, I want to help out.
So let's kind of see what Atticus is doing that's starting to fuck up, and that'll give Samantha something to respond to.
Well, like I want to be looking at the gun pointed at me, but I also need to look where I'm aiming, and so I'm kind of looking back and forth and not focused.
So she has steel nerves. She's looking at both of you. You're looking a little nervous, and I actually kind of have a line in mind for her. But Samantha, you see, like his focus is off because, just what he said. He wants to defend himself and also like pose the threat. What does Samantha do to try and help?
I kind of want to like use magic and make Daria pass out.
You can try to do that, but that wouldn't be a help out.
Oh,
His help out's going to end up being a plus cool. Yeah, that would be like kind of after we resolve what's going on with them. You could do that, but if you want to preemptively make her mad, you can frame the helping out as being something magical that you do, and you wouldn't have to use magic. You'd roll plus cool, but you could like make her gun jam or like make the magazine fall out or something. But you wouldn't be able to.
Okay.
You wouldn't be able to just make her go unconscious.
Okay.
You want to do something like using your magic that way, or point your own gun at the girl, or.
I wonder if I can like point the gun at Silver and say he's my my prisoner for the taking.
Bullshit her.
Yeah.
Point the gun at Silver. Roll plus cool and see if she buys it.
Oh,
nice. So you both get to mark an experience point. You point your gun at Silver. Silver, I think you just do you look confused for a moment?
Yeah.
Like I think like there's like the what the fuck. Right as that's kind of crossing your lips, she says. She just kind of says amateurs. She starts shooting. We're not going to resolve the gun hits tonight. We're at the end of the session here, but like there's her guns go off. Silver, does your gun go off?
Yeah.
So there's at least like breaking plate glass window. We're not quite sure what gets hit just yet. Sam, does your gun go off and everything that's happening?
No.
No. So yeah, we see her kind of shoot toward both of you. We show Silver shoot into the restaurant. I think the audience sees like the fog kind of rolling a little bit closer and thicken up. And we see a couple more of these shapes kind of hop out at the edges of the parking lot. And hear like these loud, throaty ribbits. And then like to be continued.
Credits.
Yeah, there's going to be more. It wasn't just one frog to fight. You got to turn this problem off. Let's look real quick at end of session. So you both marked 1 XP for failing rolls spectacularly. We'll resolve the gunshots next. With both your fails, I have hard moves to make against you if I choose, but I don't want to start you off like dead. You can also use luck to just like avoid her hits or whatever. But let's look real quick at the questions. Did we conclude the current mystery?
No.
No.
Did we save someone from certain death or worse? The frog definitely would have killed somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I guess yeah.
So I'd say yes on that. Did we learn something new and important about the world?
Yeah, the portal stuff.
Okay, very good. The vibrations.
Yeah.
As players, also just to bring in the awareness, I went with the route of bringing Daria in. With your expenditure of luck last time, you were determined or destined to meet somebody from your past. In my head, it was just kind of an interesting idea to like just dumb luck brought you together in a room where like neither of you necessarily had the drop on the other. The way it worked out when you were introduced, you asked about other threats in the area. So yeah, let you recognize her first. She was like I had determined she would show up, but you were able to recognize that she was there and that she was there with somebody that she was like her, her child. So she's protecting. So I think kind of looking at how luck worked out there. Third question: did we learn something new and important about one of the hunters?
I think we learned about sort of the generational aspect of her abilities.
Yeah, I think that was good. That was new and important. I also learned that Silver is willing to shoot toward a child. that was a cool choice that you made there. I was surprised by it, but I like that you did it. We'll have something to explore there. So I think we mark 2 XP because we answered 3 of the questions with yeses. So everybody marks 2 XP. And that should put us, I think, one failed roll next time for both of you. 1 failed roll away from leveling up again. I am going to read up a little bit just to make sure when you have something completely trapped and it really can't attack you back, you don't kick some ass, but I'm not quite sure what to do in that scene. So I'm going to look into that. We'll get that resolved. I'm going to quit talking now. Do you guys have any questions or comments about tonight or anything you want to see done differently? Or
I don't think so. I don't.
I think it was kind of cool last. Sorry, I thought it was kind of cool the last time when you had the little gauge and it went like down with every attack.
I had the hit points showing for myself, but not for you all. That was my fault. I meant to have that visible to you all.
Okay.
So I apologize. Yeah, I was tracking it on my end, but I just was thinking that you got to see it. So yeah, you'll have that in the future, and if you don't see it, I do intend to give that to you generally. So, and there will be more of these things next time.
Yay!
Anything from you, Josh? Anything that you want to see different, or was a frog monster just too silly?
No. I think it's good.
Very good. Well, I thought Anger Demon last time was a little too dour. I don't want to set that to be like the normal tempo. I think some fun stuff, some crazy shit would be fun.
Yeah, I think bouncing back and forth in styles is kind of fun. Cool.
Very good. Well, next time we'll come back and try and figure out what we're going to do about this this monster infestation in the town of Nimoy, New Mexico. Kill the broadcast.